if you're going to get hurt or if you're going to get killed. That's when I decided that I was going to fire my gun and try to trap them.
I heard a bang, and then I heard another bang, and then I heard a couple more bangs afterwards.
Turn around and run away from the gun. I felt something warm. I came up with a handful of blood.
That's when you realized you...
That's when I realized
shot in the
I'd
leg.
shot. That's the out.
That's the out. And the entry wound is there.
And then Blake realized something else. His friend Denzel was slumped next to him, shot in the chest, bleeding heavily.
He died in your arms?
He died in between, like right in between me and Jose. I remember screaming, "I'm sorry," and just over and over again.
To whom were you sorry?
The homeowner, I was sorry, period, It was a bad situation. I was sorry for it all.
Levi says his friends then called him into the house for help.
I just stepped inside that doorway, happened to look over, and the guy was holding a gun at me. I threw my hands up, and he was already telling me to get out of his house, and I said, "I'm sorry," and I took off.
And 1 week later...
They called me and said that he had been arrested for murder.
That's right, murder, felony murder. Because when someone's killed during certain crimes, in this case burglary, everyone committing that crime can be held responsible, even though none of them pulled the trigger or even had a gun. Even Levi, who is just the lookout.
I didn't really comprehend it. I didn't put my mind around what I was really about to go through.
The point of the felony murder law is basically to say, you bring a gun to a robbery and someone ends up getting killed, well then you're going to be held responsible for that person's death. What makes this case different is that none of them had weapons, none of them were violent, and none of them killed anyone.
In this case, the homeowner, Rodney Scott, the man who pulled the trigger, was never charged with wrongdoing. Scott was so haunted by what happened there, he never lived in the house again. One of the four, 16-year-old Jose Quiros, took a plea bargain. But the other three teenagers, with no history of violent crime, decided to stand trial, placing their fate in the hands of a jury.
What is your thought on how fair or not this charge is?
To me, we all should be charged for what we done that day, but nobody committed murder, so why should we be charged with it?
I committed burglary, Serious things did happen. Denzel's gone, I mean, I'm not saying I don't deserve time.
The trial lasted just 4 days. The teenagers were all found guilty of an adult crime.
The decision was real hard for me. I'm still torn over it. I have a hard time talking about it, really.
17-year-old Levi was sentenced to 50 years in prison. 16-year-old Blake and 18-year-old Anthony Sharp each got 55 years.
I think it's insane. I think it's overkill. And I think it's unjust and needs to be remedied.
Their controversial sentences drew national attention, from Nancy Grace.
You've got a dead body.
To Dr. Phil.
Were these boys thugs?
No, not at all.
Their mothers mobilized, filing appeals to overturn what they believe to be unjust and cruel sentences.
And we want to keep the word out. We want people not to forget about these boys that are locked up and need our support.
At the center of their appeals, that felony murder charge.
I think the argument of just a lay person is, well, those boys shouldn't have been committing burglary in the first place.
Right.
Yeah.
We don't disagree with that. Our point of contention is how much punishment they should receive and what they should be punished for.
The outraged moms insisting they would take the case all the way to the Supreme Court.
These kids aren't murderers, and they don't deserve to do 50, 55 years and all that for something they didn't do.
When we first visited the prison in 2014, Levi was 19, living on the adult side, separated from Blake, who's still a juvenile.
Show me your ink.
His time in prison literally etched on his skin, tattoos he illicitly got behind bars.
In the hourglass, it's broken. That will show that it's wasted time.
And that's your sentence, 50 years.
Being behind bars ain't nothing like being on the outs. This is constantly what we see every day. This.
It's depressing.
Horrible.
Okay.
And sometimes dangerous.
Fight?
Yeah.
While we're there, an alarm. There's an incident.
All traffic weapons team assembled.
31, K1.
I hate hearing that. Somebody's hurt. When you hear that tone ring out, it gives you chills because it could be you any day.
We find Blake over on the juvenile side of the prison.
209. This is your world, basically.
Yeah.
Blake is about to turn 18 and will soon join Levi on the adult side.
And I want to make a cake.
You're going to make a cake?
I'm actually going to clean this out and then just take like honey buns and stuff like that and just go through and making a layered cake.
You guys worried about this new test, right?
Both teenagers still hold out hope that they'll be free soon enough to make studying for their GED pay off.
46 divided by 9. I'm trying as best as I can. I don't want to be the same person when I get out. I want to be a different person. All the stuff that I was doing out there, drinking, smoking, not doing good in school, ignoring my family for whatever they had to tell me, I don't want to go back to that same lifestyle.
For Blake and Levi, time stands still, while their mothers fight on the outside, fueled by the possibility of freedom.
Oh, my heart's a pounding.
A breakthrough when we come back. 19-year-old Blake Lehman and 20-year-old Levi Sparks have spent the last 3 years of their young lives inside these walls. And they could be behind bars for 47 more, convicted of felony murder in the death of their friend Danzel Johnson, though neither of them pulled the trigger.
What do you miss while you're behind bars?
Family.
Yeah.
Family. That's basically all it is, just family.
On the outside, their families haven't stopped fighting for their freedom.
Right now, it's like we're at a standstill, so we need to keep the prayers going and just keep supporting these boys, and hopefully the Supreme Court will see it different.
Codes are Blake Lyman, Levi Sparks, and Anthony Sharp Jr.
They're convicted of the crime of felony murder.
Yes,
And no other counts on which there was their conviction, right?
correct.
So what happens?
My understanding is that they would be returned back to juvenile court, some of them would, to stand for a waiver hearing on just the burglary.
Finally, after years of appeals, their fight paying off.
This morning, the Indiana Supreme Court
overturned murder convictions
of 3 of the so-called Elkhart 4.
The Indiana Supreme Court overturned their controversial felony murder convictions.
Basically ruled that there was no way these young men could have foreseen that there would be a death, and consequently that the felony murder rule shouldn't apply here.
The young men now have hope for a chance at a real future, but they must wait to hear what their new sentences will be.
How do you feel about today?
Just nervous, real nervous, excited, yeah.
And on this cold January morning, the mothers of 3 of the Elkhart 4 are anxiously awaiting news of their son's fate.
What I'm hoping happens is they just, time served and he can come home.
But burglary carries a sentence of anywhere from 6 to 20 years, so they may still have a lot more prison time ahead.
Everyone back.
Hours later, the moment they've been waiting for, they emerge joyous. Lehman and Sharp are sentenced to 10 years in prison, Levi to 9, a fraction of the 50 years they'd been facing. And with time already served and time cuts for good behavior and completing his GED, Levi will be getting out in a few weeks.
We got justice today, and that's what we wanted. That's where we've been.
I'm very glad it's over.
April Erdos' final drive to Wabash Prison is here at last.
He's going to have all kinds of emotions when he gets out.
I was extremely nervous. Like, my palms got sweaty. I was in there shaking, and as soon as he said 9 years, I was like, and I knew I was going to be home.
I think I'm going to be speechless. I'm just going to hug him. Give him hugs like he's never had one before. You can see Uncle Levi. Oh, I see him. You're free, Levi.
Yeah, it's all over with. I love you.
A mother's heartache finally over.
Seeing the family again all that.
How does it feel?
These are his first few moments of freedom.
God, I'm glad it's over. I can't imagine what you're feeling. God, I know.
That place was hell.
A family road trip back to Elkhart filled with simple pleasures.
What?
Phone calls from loved ones.
What is this?
A new playlist.
Sing it.
No, I'm not singing. No, I'm not singing. Absolutely not.
Look at Mom.
And a first post on Facebook.
What are you doing?
I'm posting on Facebook. We have Levi on our way home.
Update their life.
All right?
But Levi's release is bittersweet. He's leaving behind his best friend.
Blake, give you a hug goodbye?
How much longer does he have?
I only got about 2 months left.
That's what I thought.
By the time they arrive in Elkhart, it's dusk, where more family and friends are waiting to share a dinner of his own choosing.
I already told everyone once I get out, I'm going to jump right into Subway, so that's why we're here.
I'm gonna get a sweet onion chicken teriyaki with bacon, onions, banana peppers, jalapenos with sweet onion sauce and ranch.
The Subway sandwich he's been dreaming about for years.
Yum. Here. No?
All right, bye. Bye, guys.
It's a great feeling, Just thankful. That's what it comes down to. Just thankful that I got a second chance. There you go.
Haven't really had a chance to soak it all in yet. But I know it's going to be good.
For Levi, his years served in prison, perhaps not time lost, but through self-reflection.